It is Drake Maye's former high school coach, Scott Chadwick at Myers Park High School. Coach, thanks so much for joining us. What does it mean to you to see Drake Maye playing the Super Bowl?
Honestly, the word I keep kind of using, it's a little surreal. A little surreal to look at that kid that used to sit on the couch in my office at Myers Park and just kind of chat about football, chat about life, or in his case, take naps on my couch. And to see that kid, to know he's going to be the starting quarterback in a Super Bowl is, it's a little bit crazy for me to think about.
Coach, all the lead up to this game, all the hype, all the pomp and circumstance for a couple weeks here, a lot of it was about Drake Maye's shoulder. I mean, what did you think? Let's go back to the Broncos game. Did you know something was off when you started hearing about the shoulder? Did you have concerns? Sort of talk to me about that. And now, when we hear Drake talk, he's like, I'm fine, it's all good. Do you believe that? Talk to me about the injury to Drake Maye from your perspective.
Well, going back to the Denver game, I didn't know ahead of time that he was hurt. But finding out afterwards, it actually kind of made some sense because there were a couple throws early in the game before the weather got bad, that he kind of missed on that he never misses. And particularly there was a dig route late in the second quarter that was kind of open and he threw it at the guy's feet. And my son and I both were like, man, he doesn't miss that throw ever. And that's the kind of throw that a shoulder injury would impact. So finding out afterwards that he had the shoulder injury was, kind of made a little bit more sense. I really do hope the 2 weeks off, has given him some time to rest and recover. I talked to him a little bit the other night, but I didn't ask him about it because, I didn't want to seem like I was prying and trying to get info out of him. But, I'm really hoping that the time off has helped, and I'm sure maybe there might be a little needle that probably goes into that thing on Sunday too.
You better believe it. I hope there is. Coach, talk to Pats Nation about what we should be looking at early in this game from him to see if it's really right? Are there certain throws? Will we take shots deep? You think Josh McDaniels may draw something up deep early to kind of show, hey, not only are we going to keep your defense honest, Seattle, but the kid's shoulder is just fine. What should we be looking for? Give us some coach speak here from a coach's perspective. What should we be looking for early in this game to ensure that our guy is right?
I think you want to look at what I call the big time throws. It's really not necessarily the deep throws. It's the 15-yard out routes. It's a skinny post where he has to kind of let loose and not put any air under it. It's those kind of throws. Again, I go back to the one he missed against Denver, the 15-yard dig, the in routes. It's those throws that early on you want to see, can he hit those throws? You can actually, believe it or not, you can throw a deep outside fade with a bad shoulder, but those ones where we call it a one ball, one ball is kind of like, to use a baseball term, a line drive throw. Those one balls where he's got to throw it, 15, 20 yards on a rope. Those are going to be the throws you're going to see early on. Is he making those?
All right, sticking with the coach's perspective, last time we had you on Boston's End of the Chat and you were talking about your time with Drake Maye in high school, we were asking about his eliteness with using his legs. You joked about the fact that you didn't want to see it. You tried to make sure he didn't go crazy with it, but I feel like once you hear anything upper body with a quarterback, automatically we all think that we're coaches and analysts and we're like, yep, Drake Maye's going to use those legs. But from your perspective, how can they probably have a nuance where that could be his strength, but it's not super predictable in a sense, because that's been extremely helpful for the Patriots and very timely whenever Drake Maye's been able to dial it up and use the wheels.
I think one of the things you'll see, Seattle uses a lot of four-man pressures. They really feel like they can get to the quarterback with just a four-man rush. And, a lot of times, obviously, that leaves 7 guys, in coverage. And I think, there's going to be a few times there where, with 7 men in coverage, it's possible guys aren't going to be open. And then if guys aren't open, that's where he's going to have to use his legs maybe to pick up a first down or two. Maybe not necessarily to avoid the rush, but maybe in a situation where there's just nobody open because, if they're going to just rush 4, that leaves 7 on 4, in coverage.
Again, you've known Drake a long time, so it's interesting to get some of the backstory in terms of his personality and his development. And today he was talking, and doing his daily duties with the media, talking about the relationship he had with his brothers and talking about how he sort of developed some of his mental toughness. And he said, well, playing 2-on-2 basketball in the backyard certainly helped. How did you see that relationship with his brothers help during his time at Myers Park High School and in terms of developing maybe some of that toughness that he was talking about today?
I think the toughness, absolutely, but also the competitiveness. I keep saying this week, you guys, by the way, are my 23rd media wow. the last 2 weeks.
We're the Michael Jordan of the that's excellent. Good to hear.
But one of the things I keep talking about is leading up to the draft, the main question I got from the NFL teams was, is that, yes, sir, no, sir, all shucks. They're like, is that real? And I'd be like, yeah, that's who he is. He is a genuinely wonderful human being, but don't get it confused. There is a guy who is a deep competitor inside of there who cares tremendously about the product he puts on the field. And I really do think that competitiveness came from, his upbringing. You talk about those 2-on-2 basketball games. All right, first off, remember, he's the youngest of those 4 guys. So he's probably got to be awful tough and awful competitive to survive. And then also throw in there at now 6'4", 6'5", whatever it is, he's still the smallest of those 4 brothers.
Oh my gosh.
They're all 6'8", 6'9", 6'8", so he's the smallest as well. So he's the youngest, he's the smallest. So if he wasn't tough, if he wasn't competitive, he wouldn't have survived.
Well, you talk about the toughness, the competitiveness. What about the acumen? What about his intelligence stood out to you in terms of maybe able to absorb a playbook and be the starting quarterback as a sophomore in high school?
The biggest thing was you didn't have to teach him things twice. He picked up things the very first time. There was never, stuff that you couldn't do with him because it was, over his head from a football standpoint. And again, I don't know that came from his brothers necessarily, but that probably comes from having a dad who was a quarterback at a very, very high level. So there was never things that, we couldn't do because our quarterback couldn't understand them. And really what was fun to see was not so much even his sophomore, but his junior year, having the opportunity to kind of give him a lot more autonomy to change plays at the line of scrimmage. Josh McCown, when he worked with us, I'll never forget at practice one day, he looked at me and he looked at Drake and he pointed at me and he said, that guy's pretty good at calling plays. He's a really good play caller, but he's not perfect. He said, your job is to make him perfect. So when he calls something bad, you fix it. And so we gave him a lot of leeway to do that. I was actually doing a thing with one of your competitive networks there yesterday. And we broke down a play where we were backed up on the 2-yard line and we got press cover 0. And he checked out of a run and threw a deep ball down our sidelines for like a 40-yard gain. And I'm like, there's not a lot of high school kids that first off would have the option from a coach to do that, and certainly not the guts to check out of a run backed up on your own 2-yard line.
Okay, now I'm extra excited because this makes you the perfect person to maybe illuminate a scenario for me. Of course, we talk about storylines going into the Super Bowl, one of the top ones being 2 quarterbacks on the big stage for the first time. How will they weather this kind of pressure? But everyone's talked about the level of intellect, the maturity, the leadership style, the competitiveness in a Drake Maye. How do you kind of see him being able to either adjust quicker or just kind of weather what this stage is going to mean, considering he's a sophomore quarterback that wasn't even expected to be here right now, Coach?
Well, I hope, I think the big part of that comes into play is Josh McDaniels. He's going to have a guy right there with him, right by his side. who's been through a number of these. And, that's the biggest thing for him is to rely on the people around him who know what this is, know what it takes. And I tell you, from an offensive coordinator standpoint, I don't know that he could have somebody better beside him than Josh McDaniels, who has, called plays and, been by Tom Brady's side throughout a number of these games. And I would imagine he's gonna do a really good job of guiding Drake through this.
Coach, I can't sleep at night because I keep having a vision. I keep seeing confetti falling, and your guy, Drake Maye, looking in the camera and saying, I'm going to Disney World because he's a Super Bowl MVP and the Patriots just won another one. Coach, how does this vision come to fruition? Tell me.
Okay,
walk
listen,
me through
let
it.
me tell you a funny story. One of the reasons I'm not going to the Super Bowl is I have to leave on Tuesday morning at like 4 a.m. to chaperone our senior trip. So while if Drake makes it to Disney World, I will be there the same day that he would be there if they, if they do what they
Serendipity.
want.
I saw you in my vision, Coach. I knew it.
Oh, that's wild.
How do we get there? Walk me through this. You're a play caller. Get us there. How do we do this? What kind of game do we need from the kid?
I think it's not so much him having a great game; it's the people around him. It's those offense. It's Morgan Moses and Will Campbell being able to control the rush on the edge from the outside to give him the time that he needs. I think it's a guy like it's. I think you're going to get good games out of Stephon Diggs, but it's that extra guy. It's maybe a Butte. It's maybe a Hunter Henry. Maybe it's a Travion Henderson out of the backfield. I think he's going to need, kind of an X factor kind of guy to step up and have a great game to give him that little extra boost.
I know we've talked about Drake Maye's development and his intellect, competitiveness, toughness, but what about the evolution of Drake Maye? As somebody who knows him well, where does he have the most room for growth?
You know what? I think it's just, and I know this sounds obvious, but I think it's just to continue to get experience in these moments. You're talking about a guy that, he hasn't, when you really look at it, hasn't played a tremendous amount of football. He didn't have a senior year of high school. He didn't play football his senior year. We didn't play because of COVID. He only started 2 years at North Carolina. He's only in his second year in the league. So when you look at what he's done this year, the numbers he's put up, how efficient he's been, how good he's been, I think you'd be really, really encouraged that there's still a lot of great football ahead of him because he really has not played a lot. He's not played a lot of competitive football. And I think the biggest thing when you look at, where does he grow, is probably when he has a little bit of adversity, when he makes a bad throw, it's being able to recover really, really quickly from that. And I think that's probably, an area he still can grow in.
This might feel kind of like an obvious question, but I have to ask, what's maybe impressed you most? Because I feel like he's been able to face so many different things between his first year with New England, his second year with New England, and we've been exposed to how mature and how much he's developed in front of our own eyes. But what's impressed you most as somebody who's known him a bit longer?
I probably shouldn't be surprised by this because his junior year in high school, he completed 73% of his passes and threw 50 touchdowns, and only was 50 touchdowns to 2 interceptions. But the thing I've been most impressed with has been his accuracy this year. He's been extremely accurate throwing the deep ball. He puts the ball in positions to his receivers that not only do they catch it, but they have a chance to catch it and move. So I would say that's been the biggest thing is just, how good he's been with, his accuracy.
Coach, Casey and I have predicted a close game. The good guys win it. I told you my vision of Drake Maye, Super Bowl MVP. Adam here has predicted a damn goal line stand to end the game and the Patriots win. We all love Drake having a big game. We got to get a prediction from you, man. Like, how's this going to play out? Give us a score. Give us your guys' stat lines. Let's talk, Coach. What do we got? Come on.
First off, the one thing through this playoff run that to me has stuck out has the next level that the Patriots defense has gone to. They have found a completely different level here throughout these playoffs, and they're playing at an extremely high level right now. And I think that will continue. I don't see any reason why, that's going to change. And I think, again, the couple of weeks off, a little bit of rest, hopefully gets Drake back to kind of being where he was towards the end of the regular season. And he ends up having a big night. I'm gonna go Patriots 24, Seahawks 19.
Oh,
19.
oh, hold on. Who's going to Disney World? Our guy. We going to link up. Like my vision is Drake the MVP.
I think I'm gonna see Drake at Disney World. Yeah.
Woo! I knew it. Anything is possible.
You know what, Coach? You know what they say about the 23rd interview? It's always the best one. And I think that we nailed it. So we really appreciate your time. Our guy Travis is going to decompress a little bit. But on behalf of him, I would like to thank you for joining us. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Coach.
Guys, thank you all for having me. It's always a pleasure.